Well, folks, it's not often we talk about uplifting stories here on the Ben Shapiro Show, but this one is really quite charming. So there is this really charming story out of Britain. The King's Guard. These are the folks with the funny hats who stand outside of Buckingham Palace. They're not supposed to move, right? They're statue-like. If you go and you visit Buckingham Palace, they just stand there. And now there is a video of Mike Van Earp, who's 50. He's better known by his YouTube name, Cycling Mikey, and a youngster posing for a photo. It's caused a stir because it is, again, their job to basically stand there absolutely still. But footage shows how there is a member of the guard who moved closer to Mike and a boy trying to get a photo to remember their trip to the Horse Guards parade. Here's what the video looked like. So the reason he did that, you can't see the kid's face in here. The kid has Down syndrome. So because the kid has Down syndrome, he was standing too far away and he's a little scared. And so the guy moved just a little bit closer so that he could be in the photo, and then he moved back to his place. Classy and really, really nice. So good for that uniformed soldier. That's awesome. We are days away from the Durban Accords, the greatest threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in the past 80 years. On August 22nd, the BRICS nations, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they are expected to announce the launch of a new international supercurrency backed by gold or other commodities. Part of their long-term plan is to supplant the United States and the dollar as cornerstones of the global financial system. Here's the thing. As America continues to spend at unprecedented rates, as our national debt is now past $30 trillion, at a certain point, we're going to have either higher taxes or we're going to have to inflate the currency. Either way, you're going to want to diversify into precious metals. You can protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark announcement by diversifying with gold from Birch Gold. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty. That would be like right now. Birch Gold, they're the people I buy my gold from, so do thousands of other concerned savers. When currencies fail, gold is a safe haven. How much more time does the dollar have? Well, I don't know. Neither do you. It's a good reason to diversify. Birch Gold has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of happy customers. Text BEN to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold. If a central bank digital currency becomes a reality, it'll be nice to have some gold to depend on. Again, text BEN to 989898 today to get started with my friends over at Birch Gold. Our friends over at Genucel sold out of their dark spot corrector. Our listeners have been begging for a restock. Well, I have some good news for you. Just in time for summer, it is back in stock. Genucel's famous dark spot corrector has not one but three cutting-edge ingredients, and it goes to work fast to target sunspots, dark spots, liver spots, even old discoloration, both on your face and on your hands. You can now enjoy your summer sun, beach, and barbecues without those embarrassing spots. Genucel's most popular package also features their summer essentials, like the best-selling Ultra Retinol Moisturizer with a powerful retinol alternative for safe use in the sun. You'll be amazed how quickly you see results, or 100% of your money back guaranteed. Go to Genucel.com/Shapiro right now. Get your dark spot corrector in the Genucel most popular package. That's Genucel.com/Shapiro right now. Save over 70% off Genucel's most popular package. All orders will include a mystery luxury gift while supplies last. Genucel.com/Shapiro. Go check them out right now. That is Genucel.com/Shapiro. Save over 70% off Genucel's most popular package. Nancy Pelosi, because she is extremely old and also not with it, she testified that Joe Biden is actually a spring chicken. Man, this is like the night at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, talking about how basically Methuselah is a spring chicken. Here is Nancy Pelosi.
We have to be hopeful. That's just the way we're an optimistic country. We'll be hopeful that as we go forward, we can do this in a unifying way. And we couldn't be better served in that regard than by President Joe Biden. This is a person who respects other points of view, a person who has a vision about our country that is consistent with the vision of our founders, that respects the sacrifice of our men and women in uniform to keep our freedom intact, and again, honors the aspirations of our children.
Look at the lies. I mean, he's a traditionalist. First of all, I don't know when Nancy Pelosi got two pairs of eyebrows, but in any case, it's an amazing thing. So apparently, Joe Biden, not only does he respect the vision of our founders, he's just a kid. He's a kid. He's a spring chicken, as I say.
Age is relative. I was in L.A. For some Democratic stuff recently, and I met with Norman Lear, who's 100, going on 101. He was telling me some new shows he was involved in. I was meeting with Frank Gehry, a 90-something architect, showing me new buildings he's building throughout the world. And they were like 80. He's a kid. But again, it's relative. He's younger than I am, so he's a kid to me as well, the president is.
Guys, 80 is the new 20. Did you know that? It's not weird at all. Meanwhile, what is Nancy Pelosi actually pushing? As I say, the Democratic Party continues to move steadily to the left. They have to protect Biden. They have to protect the precious. The only way to do that is to continue to set a double standard via the Department of Justice. I mean, here's Nancy Pelosi suggesting that we have to have a military policy that funds transgender surgeries or it's a tragedy. The Democrats have lost their minds. This is why I say all it would take for the Republicans to win is probably a sane Republican, but here's Nancy Pelosi doing the thing.
The bill that came out of the Armed Services Committee, a committee you served on, was very bipartisan. I think it had one no vote. It was just about 100% bipartisan until they came to the floor and started really messing with it. It's a tragedy. It's really sad.
This is the Democratic Party. And so, of course, they have to protect the geriatric dotard in charge. Of course they have to. And that means they need to simultaneously elevate Trump and they need to stop Trump simultaneously. And that's what a lot of these indictments are very much about. And meanwhile, I have to say the Biden administration doing a stellar job, as always, with regard to foreign policy. It is amazing to watch as Xi Jinping just runs circles around people like John Kerry. So Xi, the dictator of China, he was asked specifically by John Kerry to do more on climate. And he's like, nope, not interested. According to the New York Times, Chinese leaders rebuffed attempts by John Kerry, Joe Biden's climate envoy, to persuade them to commit to tougher climate action during 3 days of talks in Beijing. Kerry emerged late Wednesday from the lengthy negotiations in Beijing with no new agreements. In fact, the Chinese president, Xi Jinping, existed in a speech that China would pursue its goals to phase out carbon dioxide pollution at their own pace, in their own way. So what exactly happened here? This is really funny. So John Kerry was then asked about this, the fact that Xi Jinping and the rest of the Chinese, who are responsible, by the way, they in India are responsible for the bulk of the world's carbon emissions at this point. Kerry was asked about the fact that Xi just rejected him to his face, like Dikembe Mutombo. And John Kerry's answer here was, no, that's not what he said. I mean, sure, he rejected me to my face, but that's never stopped me before from anything. Here's John Kerry.
Well, I think we all agree that nobody should be, quote, dictated to, and we're not doing that. That's why we had 3 days of intensive discussions. And I think if you ask Xi Jinping, he'll tell you there was zero dictation. Nor, I think if you asked Director Wang Yi and Vice President Han, as well as any of the interlocutors we were talking to, they would tell you that there was no dictation here. There was a clear exchange of ideas. If anything is dictating, it is the science.
Oh, my God. He's such a joke. The science is dictating. He's not dictating. No, there's no dictating. No dictation here. Dicta-da-da-do. What a genius John Kerry is. I'm so glad we have him on the climate beat. By the way, can I point out that there are a lot of headlines right now about how hot it is outside? I know. It's hot outside. You know what I can do about that? Zero things. Thank God we have this thing called air conditioning. It's awesome. You know, it's a great cure for being super duper hot outside. Being a first world country. Amazing. It works out tremendously well because it turns out that if you have a really solid energy grid and you have the capacity to turn on that AC, you're living quite comfortably these days. You know what sucks? Global poverty. You know what brings global poverty? Decarbonization. Let me also point out that the media always do this routine when it's very, very hot outside. They never ever cover it when it's cold. So it's funny. The media will say, well, it's not global warming, it's now climate change. And the reason they changed the term from global warming to climate change is because the climate in many cases is colder during the winters than it was before. So it's hotter during the summers and it's colder during the winters. They've called this climate weirding, but that doesn't really seem to go over all that way. So now they call it climate change, which of course is an incredibly vague term because the climate is always changing. However, it is worth noting at this point that all of this, folks, millions will die of the heat waves that are occurring on planet. Oh my God, the ocean is so hot during the summer in Florida. Okay, so first of all, it is hot this summer in Florida. Also, it's hot like every summer in Florida. You've been to Florida? It's really, really hot and humid. Like, I noticed when I first visited here several years ago, and we moved anyway because air conditioning exists. I just want to point out at this point that many, many, many more people die of cold than heat. Like, I know that we're all very enamored of all of the pictures of it being hot outside and everything, and that the media have decided that when it's hot outside, this is just evidence that it's our fault or whatever. But lots more cold death than heat death. And so if indeed the world is getting warmer on average, maybe it means that the winters are a little milder. And that might mean relief from death. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show continues right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into the vaunted Ben Shapiro Show mailbag. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click that link in the description and join us.